Okay, John, so if we touch on last Saturday just briefly, you were obviously very frustrated at the time. Do you view that game differently now, having sort of the context of the reaction you got on Tuesday?
Not really. I think that I think you have to analyse every game, collective and individual, and I think that what you can do after a few games after that, I think you can put it in context. I think it's too soon to put it into the right context now. It's where we go from here. I think over the course of from when we started the season, we've steadily improved and put in some performances that would make me think that we can be a challenger. Yeah, which makes me think we could be a challenger. And then we get a performance that we got away at Wealdstone, who are a good side, and they're on a great run. And I think Dean Brennan's done really well there, and I know a lot of their players. I think they're a decent side. But I didn't think that we produced anything. Forget what they done. If we had produced what I believe we're capable of, then I think that we were capable of going there and getting a good result. I really did. And the fact that we didn't really bothered me, because we'd made so much progress, and because we have a way of playing it. We don't play what I call freestyle. There's a ball, go and play. We play to a pattern, we play to a system, and it can take a little bit of while to pick up. But we had picked it up, and to play that game, no one looked like we'd gone and picked 11 people up over the park and brought them into play to me, because the organisation of what we do was really poor. And then to go to the Tuesday game when the organisation was back to what we know it should be, it was a bit concerning, to be honest. Do you get blips? Yeah, not the first time I've had blips, and I'm sure it won't be the last time I had blips. But we decided to go with the same group of players because we wanted to see if that was a blip or not. And it appeared that it was just a blip, but it's also now where we go from here. I've said all along, that between now and the end of the season, with the greatest respect, I know there'll be changes. I know there will be some players that hasn't quite worked for, and we need to strengthen that area. So we're fully prepared for all of those eventualities. But at the moment, we have made progress. We want to look back and go, that was a one-off. That's what we want to look back at, a one-off. It isn't the losing, because everyone loses, so I'm not worried about losing. It's reaction to losing, and we got a great reaction to losing that game. And when you lose, I always think you should come off and go, you know what, we've lost today, but everyone's done their job, everyone's worked hard, everyone's done the best they can do. And they were a little bit better than us today, and that's football. That's at all levels. If Liverpool beat Manchester City, no one's going to sort of go, well, that's a bit of a surprise. And if Tottenham beat Manchester City and Arsenal beat Tottenham, they're not massive surprises. But if you find a team right at the bottom beats Manchester City, people will turn around and go, that's a shock. And what I don't want no shocks in our performance. If we get beat, but we played okay. So it is progress, and I'm happy with the progress, but we've got to keep progressing.
So moving on to Tuesday, what were the specifics really that sort of, I suppose, turned from night to day and made the game go in our favour?
I think the biggest thing's teamwork. We looked like a team that didn't know their job on Saturday. And on Tuesday, we looked like a team that absolutely knew their job. We know when we haven't got the ball, we know how to defend. And I think that if everyone does their job, we can cater for people, one or two, not playing well. Because if I'm going in for a ball and I don't quite get it, and I should, I've got a bit of support behind me because my positioning is right. Because I always say that, believe it or not, you don't have to play great to win games. You've got to be disciplined, organised, and understand your job. Without those aspects, no matter how well you play, you can get beat. But if you have those, sometimes it can be hard to be beat. And we never had them Saturday, but we had them Tuesday.
Must be pleasing. We'll discard the Wilson game and say the 2 away games, Concord away, obviously Dulwich away. I don't think Coley saved a shot, has he?
No, and when we do it right, this is the thing. When we do it right, we I think we're hard to score against when we do it right. And we're going to have days. You know, it's like sometimes the other team, whoever you play at any level, someone comes up with something a bit special, and you have to hold your hands up and go, hey, that's the special goal. And you can have disappointing days, and understand that. Best teams don't have too many disappointing days. Best teams don't concede too many penalties. Best teams don't concede from too many restarts. They're all aspects that, you know, that are in the game, and I just think that the best teams make less mistakes. They're not necessarily the most outstanding playing teams, but they make it really hard for the other team, and I think that we're growing into that. I really do. I think we're growing into that, but we can become a lot better at it. I think we can still be better in the attacking third. I feel a little bit disappointed. A little bit disappointed for the attacking players, because Justin's had a little bit of injury and missed out. Nana had a little bit of a knock and not really got into his stride. Johnny Edwards started the season, then got injured, then come back and got injured, and a disappointment with the death of his father. So that's another aspect. Matt McClure came in late and sort of, I know he was here for a little bit of pre-season and picked up a little. So we haven't been like consistent in that area, and I think that time will make that better. I think time will make that better, and I believe that we got Jake Embry to come back yet, who we believe is a goal scorer. And every time, it seems like every time Johnny Edwards gets into the swing of it, I thought he'd done very well the other night. I really do. He's running. He creates so much space for other people by getting down the sides of people, and I just think that gradually we'll get more consistency in the group of players, not the individual. Excuse me, not the individual. And I think that when we do that, I think that will push us on a little bit further. I do.
Do you think that's the hardest bit to get right, is that attacking blend?
It is, because a lot of like what I call attacking play, I think comes down to the individual sometimes. A wide man gets a ball, he's got to take someone on and beat him and get a cross in, and centre forwards have got to get across defenders and midfield players up behind it and get the right pass. Whereas defending, it's really it's a unit game. It's a unit, and it is the hardest thing to find. But you know, it's a big confidence thing, and all that. You know, someone gets a lucky don't score, gets a lucky goal. Sometimes that opens the door for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. But it is interesting. The emergence, I think, of Akimbe. This boy has something. He's nowhere near the article, but he's, you know, come a bit like Seydou from a really low level, and like Seydou can be up there and down there. But I think anyone that sees him can see he has something. Yeah, and this boy, Akimbe, same as Seydou, you know, give him a couple of years at this level, and he could possibly play much higher with, you know, what he's got to bring to the party, and either starting or coming off the bench. I think he's making an impact. I really do. I think he's making an impact. So I think that over the next 6 to 8 games, if we can get some consistency in selection in them areas, I think that would improve.
Is that what really gets your juices flowing, is finding someone like a Seydou or an Ibi and trying to get them from, I suppose, there to there? 100%.
You know, it's weird. was it last year, year before, I can't remember, I'd done an article for a magazine, and they were just talking about from when I started managing, and we spoke through the clubs I'd been at, and they had a list of players, some I'd forgotten. They had a list of players, and they were asking me about that, and I said at the time that as much as I want to win, and as much as I want the team to do well, I'd be disappointed if along that path I couldn't find some players that could go and play higher. It gives me so much pleasure to see players come in and not from what I call privileged background, some like from really low levels of football, or some have had big disappointments. They've been at a decent club and fell down the ladder, but that's a massive thing for me, and I do like to do that. And although this isn't always been a popular thing to say, when I first said it, it becomes a popular thing, is that I sometimes have picked teams when the person I'm playing isn't as good as this person I've left out, but I believe that if I keep playing, he'll be twice the player that the person I've left out for. But you've got to give him that sort of scope to go and do it, and I'm a strong believer in that. And I think that over a period of time, I always say when I go into a club, I always say this, whenever I've been offered a job, I make it clear that I'm not a quick fix. I don't like quick fixes. I'm not particularly good at quick fixes because it's not in me. I like to try and build a team over 2 or 3 years, and I think that of the clubs that I've been at, if I've been there 2 or 3 years, I always think, well, no, they've been successful, because it gives you a chance to find and grow these players, and I think it's really important. I think we've got some players here who can grow. I think Noah, at his age, can grow. I really do. I think that he'll get better and better, and I think he's good already. I think Seydou can grow. Although sometimes he doesn't show it consistently, I think Justin can grow because he's got something a little bit extra. Once again, Nana's not shown enough yet, but I believe he can grow. So we've got the little buds that we've planted in there, and you bring quite a few, and they don't all do it, but I think gradually you end up with a unit of players of that ilk that are growing and growing and growing and growing. And if you do right recruitment around them, I think it grows and grows and grows and grows. And I think all we've done is planted those seeds.
You list those players there. There's a good competition now, isn't there, for places?
There is. We keep picking up injuries, which is disappointing. Not long-term injuries, but disappointing, because consistency of selection can be important, and knowing when the right time to bring someone in, the right time to leave someone out, as opposed to you've got to do it. But I think that the players that we have here overcome the first hurdle really quickly, in terms of everyone works incredibly hard. Everyone, win, lose or draw. I've never had a complaint about how hard people work, and to me, that's the first requirement of any team. So you go out and absolutely work its socks off. Well, it does. We don't have any problem with that. Does it always play with enough quality? No, but some of that is a naiveness. Some of it isn't. We could play a front three, if you like, of Justin, of Jake Embry, and of Nana Kai. And that could be good, it could be not good, it could be ordinary. But the amount of proper football that all those have had over the last couple of years isn't that high. So you sometimes have to put them in with somebody else to help that grow a bit before you do the other bit. So all that team ethic, it takes a while to grow. Some grow quicker than others, but some slow down when the others are still growing. So this still for us is a start. It's the start of something, and I'd like to think that whenever the end of the something comes for me or whatever, that we'll look back and go, well, look at where we were and look at where we are and look at what we've produced, and I don't see any reason why that won't happen.